Hello YouTube and fellow DC Comic fans! I'm Kelly One Shot, and this is the Post-Crisis Podcast. And today, we're going to talk about Justice League number 34 from DC Comics, written by Scott Snyder and James Tynion IV, with artwork by Bruno Redondo and Howard Porter Jr. Okay, so we actually start this story off in the past, in 1941, in the city of Atlantis, where we actually see that Cheetah is trying to control Poseidon and using him to attack and try to destroy the city of Atlantis. It's actually here in Atlantis that the Justice League and Justice Society of America are trying to get the Conch of Orion and use that to reach out throughout Hypertime and connect to Starman in the present time so that they can gather their piece of the Totalitary, bring it to the present in the final battle against Perpetua to help defeat or seal away Perpetua's power so she doesn't destroy the multiverse and reshape it in her image. In the last issue, we actually saw that Vandal Savage and his club of Legionnaires have taken control of the city of Atlantis, and they don't wish to help the Justice League here. That Vandal Savage thinks he has a plan to ultimately succeed, and even if this attack happens, that he'll survive. He'll go into the cracks of society and they'll hang out down below the Earth's crust, and his people will regroup there. But it's here that John Stewart actually tells him that no, they won't. The Neanderthals, the moon, it all fails. That their friends are from the future, and they discover that Vandal discovers the nature of the Totalitary, and instead of using it, he actually tries to hide it and to move it away, and that eventually in the future, his enemies, Lex Luthor, will gather that piece of the Totalitary, they'll unlock it, and they'll use it to kill Vandal. So John, in a very convincing fashion, convinces Vandal Savage that if he helps Lex Luthor and doesn't help the Justice League right now, that he'll die. His plans will fail. And John is being very convincing and very confident. And we actually see our man smirks, and he says that the future of the Green Lantern name is in good hands. And Alan Scott ultimately agrees with him, and so does Vandal Savage, because he agrees to use the Conch of Orion and to open up the doorway through Starman in the past, so that way they can reach out to Starman in the future, and they can all get to the future to try to stop Perpetua. We actually then go to the future, where Brainiac 1 million, baby, is trying to destroy the Justice League. He's trying to stop them from gathering the piece of the Totalitary that's in the future, and he's trying to let them know that he has downloaded and destroyed and collected all the alternative futures throughout the Hypertime, and that way he has recorded all the information. And this is his ultimate plan here. And it's here that Superman tries to convince Brainiac 1 million, baby, that he's playing right into Perpetua's hands right now, and that he's being used. And Brainiac sees it otherwise. He says that their mind is so primitive that with the help of Perpetua and Lex Luthor, he has access to more information than he's ever dreamed of before. That he has kind of categorized, logged, and taken notes of all the alternative futures throughout the Hypertime, and that when this multiverse dies, he alone will have all that information and all of the history that came before, and he'll be able to log and record all the new history from the new multiverse that Perpetua will create in her image after Doom reigns supreme. But it's here that all of a sudden, Kamandi the Last Boy actually comes forward and enters the battle with various members of Justice Leagues from various alternate futures. It's a really cool scene. We see Kingdom Come Superman. We see a white-haired old man Shazam. We see an old man Hal Jordan. We see Batman Beyond, Booster Gold. We see a white-suited Wonder Woman, Dr. Fate, Red Dawn Superman. We see various Batmen, various Flashes. It's a very cool scene here, and we actually see Cyber Curry, which is one of my favorite things to see here, because he was actually in a storyline called Justice League Legacy in the last Justice League run, which I covered here on this channel in my old dramatic reading series. Check that out. Each video did really great. It got a few thousand views a piece. I think it's 6 videos or something like that. Check that story out. I had a lot of great time doing that, and it was one of my old favorite things to do on this channel. But in this battle, we also see people like Calvin Ellis. We see a black-suited, golden-eyed energy Flash. We see Lobo. We see Jonathan Kent, an older Jonathan Kent here. And they're all kind of battling against Brainiac 1 million to help our Justice League so that way they can get back to the past and help battle Perpetua. We actually then return to the present day to that final battle that takes place at the end of time, where we see the Ultra Monitor battling Perpetua. We see Hawkgirl battling Apex Lex Luthor, and we see Starman trying to open up this portal and try to convince Kendra that she's wasting her time, that she's blinded by rage and attacking and trying to kill Lex, and that she needs to let go of that rage and help the Ultra Monitor fight Perpetua instead of trying to kill Lex. But she's too mad, she's too blinded by the rage that Lex Luthor assimilated John Jones so he can become this Apex Lex character here. We then return to the past in 1941, where we see the Justice Society of America battling against Cheetah and Sinestro, Gorilla Grodd, Poseidon as they're trying to attack Atlantis, and we actually see that Vandal Savage is using the Conch of Orion to connect to this machine so that way the past Starman can use his piece of the Totalitary to reach out across all of time to the various different incarnations of Starman so they can open up a portal and a doorway so that way they can go to the present and help the Justice League take on Perpetua and the Ultra Monitor take on Perpetua so that way they can win and save the day. It's here that Starman actually hears him. Starman in the future hears him. They actually reach out and connect, and they are united in this incredible power, and that they feel this incredible power, and that we see a constellation of Starmen stretching out throughout all of time and beyond their physical forms, and that this power is uniting, and it's giving our Starman this tremendous amount of power that he's going to use to open up the portal so that way the Justice League in the past and the future can get to the present day in the Hall of Justice and try to then summon up another portal so they can reach the end of time to this final battle against Perpetua, and that this is their only chance. Perpetua is scared, she's nervous, she's worried that their plan will work, and the Ultra Monitor is trying to take on their mother, and Lex even himself seems like this is impossible, that there's no way because they're so close. And we see Kendra Saunders again blinded by her rage to try to take on Lex, which is a foolish mistake. We then actually see the two different portals open, and the various members of the Justice League and Justice Society of America from the past and present, or the past and the future, come to the present time with Kamandi the Last Boy, and they return to the Hall of Justice, and they're trying to talk about the plan, and they're trying to reach out to Starman so they can open up another portal to return to this final battle that's happening. We then return to that final battle, and we see Hawkgirl is again blinded by the rage. She's attacking Lex, but Starman is trying to reach out to her and tell her that Ultra Monitor needs the strength that Kendra possesses. They need that ancient power that is stored within her wings, and that's been talked about throughout this entire Justice League run. But then she eventually agrees to go and help the Ultra Monitor, but she turns her back to Apex Lex, and he stabs her in the back. And this drains all the remaining ancient energy that is stored within inside Hawkgirl, so that's another major blow that's dealt to our heroes, and that the last of her power is now burnt up. And it's here that Perpetua that then tries to convince her children, who have united as the Ultra Monitor, to stop this foolish attack. She specifically tries to reach out to the Anti-Monitor and try to convince him to side with her and that she'll forgive him if he agrees to help them. Starman tries to reach out to the Ultra Monitor to try to hold Perpetua back for a few more moments so he can open up the portal, and he tries and he strikes his mother down, and then she actually tells him that they're foolish, it's too late, can't you feel it? And then suddenly Starman's portal closes, and then Lex reveals to them that enough people have eventually now sided with Doom, and that the seventh energy is unlocked, and the balance is tipped in Doom's favor, and that Perpetua's power is going to come into its full glory. And he blames Kendra, and he says, look at your hollow, empty mistake that you held in your heart. The sound is of foolishness and unfaithfulness, and that Doom has truly won. As a sigil of Doom rises in the sky, we then see various people who took Lex Luthor's offer of Doom to make themselves stronger and grant themselves new and interesting powers, and that way their strength has risen, tipped the scales in Doom's favor, and Perpetua has now unlocked her true power, and the sigil of Doom's in the sky. She then reaches out once more with her full might to her son, the Anti-Monitor, who is inside of the Ultra Monitor. And eventually this energy happens around the Ultra Monitor, and it's here that it is then transformed into the original drawing, the original design of the Anti-Monitor, which is really cool to see that original drawing here, drawn in this new light, in this new day and age, which is really cool. But now the Anti-Monitor is siding with Perpetua, and Perpetua then grabs our Starman in her hands and she compares him to an insignificant speck that next to her, they're nothing, that they're weak and little. And then she actually crushes Starman in her hand. And that seems like it's the end. And now she's going to reshape the multiverse in her new image. But where should she begin? And that's the end of this story, where Perpetua has arisen to her true power. So I actually learned a few days ago on Twitter from Scott Snyder tweeting that this whole story, this whole run of Scott Snyder and James Tynion the Fourth's Justice League is going to end in 5 issues. After this story arc concludes, I'm assuming we're going to see the battle of Perpetua versus Justice League. Either the League wins or Perpetua wins and reshapes the multiverse in her image as she's intending to do. But that's going to happen within the next 5 issues here, because this run is ending. But Scott Snyder did tell us and let us know that he is planning on continuing the story that he's been doing since Batman and into Dark Knight's Metal and into this Justice League run. He's going to continue that in another book. We don't know what that book is yet, but I am very excited and looking forward to that book and seeing where his story goes from here. We do know that James Tynion IV is taking on Batman once the Tom King run is over, and then Tom King's going to finish out his story in Batman and Catwoman side story thing, so that's going to be pretty cool. But we also do have that looming rumors of DC Comics 5G, the 5th generation. Sorry about that. Which I'm very not looking forward to that. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of shaking up and a lot of just reshaping and configuring of the total DC Comics landscape. I did talk about that in my video about what is DC's 5G, and we discussed that briefly in that video, which you can check out a few videos ago. And it's ultimately going to have things like Luke Fox as Batman, Cassie Sandmark as Wonder Woman, John Kent as Superman, Owen Mercer as the Flash, who's like the son of Digger Harkness and Eobard Thawne's daughter, and he actually died in Blackest Night, and he's an insignificant character that nobody really either knows about. If you follow DC Comics pre-New 52, you might know about him, but probably not, because he's really not that significant, but he's going to be the Flash. And then there's various other people and taking on the mantles, the major mantles. And I'm really nervous about this. I'm really worried because I like the fact I love legacy characters and I love the mantles being passed on and history changing and growing. But you need to do it in an organic way that makes sense. It doesn't make sense to have Luke Fox as Batman. Damian Wayne, sure, that makes sense. Tim Drake makes sense. Dick Grayson makes sense. But Luke Fox doesn't really make too much sense. Cassie Sandmark and John Kent do make sense as taking on those respected mantles, but they're just going to kind of skip forward several years and they're going to automatically be the main Justice League. And I don't like that. And if they're doing that, I hope it's like some kind of Elseworld story and that it's not the main continuality, that maybe it's going to be something like an Ultimates universe or something. But I'm not looking forward to it because I don't want to stop reading DC Comics. I don't want to stop following something that I love so much, and I don't think that I'm going to like that, and I don't think that a lot of DC Comic loyalists are going to like that. It's going to be like New 52, but like a million times worse, because at least in the New 52, we did have several amazing runs, like Green Lantern and Batman and Flash, but I'm not looking forward to this. Please, DC Comics, do not do that. That's not going to help. It's going to only turn away fans, and you're not going to bring in new fans doing something like that. I'm sorry, you're just not. Either way, please don't let that happen. This issue has been very amazing. The story arc is amazing. And this ultimate James Tynion Scott Snyder run has been tremendous. The artwork is really great. Love this book. Love this story. Can't wait to see what happens within the next 5 issues. Either way, I'm your host, Kelly One Shot. As always, you can check this video out on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/OneShotTheory. You can also visit comicbooklegion.com, which is a website that I contribute to. We have other podcasts, written reviews, news, updates, stories. Check it out, comicbooklegion.com. As always, I'm your host, Kelly One Shot. Take care, have a great day, and goodbye!